All right, welcome everybody. It's Doug here with the LincolnList.com. This is the week review for the 2nd of March. Hard to believe it's already March of 2015. Just seemed like yesterday we were starting out the year. It's been a good year so far, I have to say. Only one losing day this entire year. So it is a new month for you, a new beginning. If you're looking to take your trading to the next level, visit the LincolnList.com. Take a 14-day free trial. We'll start out talking about the SPY as usual. It keeps continuing, whether you see good news, bad news, or no news, continues to melt up to new highs after highs. Now, the last couple of days, it's kind of pulled back a little bit, but nothing to be too concerned yet. We're just kind of parked here at the 10 moving average. You know, after such a run up here solidly from the 11th of February, kind of goes right into that resistance that we saw a little bit into December. So you might get a little hesitation here, but I really wouldn't switch my stance on thinking that we would get a sell-off unless we started to see some closes down underneath of 207, working down to 206. Then I might think about it. But as we have seen back here, we talked about in many of these watch lists, during the first part of the year, we got an awful lot of support that was down there, many tests in that 198.15, 198.50 area. Every single time it bounced off of there and never really stayed down in that area too long. So we'll have to look at now at some new levels, which is 207s or 206s. We start closing down in there, then we'll start looking at maybe seeing if there's any kind of correction. Other than that, it's just business as usual. We'll talk about a couple of different stocks. It's created some great opportunities that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Eyes, I want to focus on this EYES. This not probably, it is really this next little small cap runner that we've seen, a la Gene and a couple of the other ones that we've had recently. Really looked good here 2 days ago. You get this nice spike, the shorters jump in on this thing, you get your red. But unlike a lot of these charts, is once they start to get some red into them after they go parabolic, they really start to see some deep sell-offs. All this thing really had was one day, comes right back Friday, not just comes back, but comes back with a vengeance and a really strong move from 12 all the way up to 17. So percent-wise, a very huge move. As we look at this, it's already closing right here at resistance, or kind of just touched that resistance from the 10th of December, blew right through it like it wasn't even there. There really isn't any resistance in the chart till 23, and I'm not suggesting that this thing is headed towards 23. It's a little bit overbought as it is right here. So I'm kind of focusing now on taking advantage of a possible short here. As always with these stocks that have been in multi-day runs, you would love to be able to get a nice little gap up or an early morning push to short into. If you look at this intraday chart, after these multitude of runs where you've got several candles or several moves intraday, you do get a little bit of period. Sometimes it's just a little sideways action, but at least it's a slowdown. Sometimes you get some peaks out of here where you can take advantage of a really nice short. Where it has closed here, though, you're sitting right next to the VWAP and sitting into late day support at 1555. I would suggest, based on the trading action that we've seen out of these kind of stocks, the last thing you would want to do is short into the hole, meaning down on any gap or after you see a couple of reds, because that's what people are doing here. You see, after you see a couple of reds and you lean into that short, you're at the wrong spot, and that's what's going to lead you possibly to getting squeezed on or chasing into the short. So you're going to have to kind of pick your resistance levels and kind of pick your areas and pick your shots and then take them. And if the trade doesn't work out, you'll have to cover it, because I wouldn't be surprised to see it squeeze out, maybe back up to 17, and who knows, even round numbers up there towards 20. So EYES, looking for a short on this thing, but could be a couple of multiple plays on it. Also AMWD. Nice looking chart here. This one's pretty parabolic, but not a percent-wise parabolic as what you've seen there with eyes. So, but you do have a nice little breakout here from this 44.84. Made a nice little move straight to 52.66. And you got an earnings catalyst that kind of started that all. With these earnings plays that kind of go parabolic like this, after a couple of days, you know, they're tough shorts on day one, but when you get into day two or day three, you get some nice parabolic action. They can make for, you know, a nice little short. And what we mean by is taking advantage of some profit taking. Those who've been in the trade for a little while, once they start to get big moves like this, they're going to want to bank some profit. So we're going to kind of look for that. Just with the rest of it, like you would want with eyes, you would like to have the possibility of any of these to continue a gap up or show early morning strength, because that would put you in the best position for success if you were looking to short. Now, if you happen to get a gap down, same way with the eyes that I mentioned earlier, if you get a gap down or a thick wash, then you might want to switch your stance to long. But as they close strong 2 straight days, you'd want to look for day number 3 to take advantage of a pullback. Eyes and AMWD here, I also like, AMWD. Also, I want to go back and look at cyber. This was one of the biggest trades that we had last week, and this one was due for a pullback, just as we showed you with the previous two. There's certain times these stocks make legitimate breakouts. They had good earnings and they get a nice little gap up. But when the price really starts to get out of control sometimes and you really start to get that basket of chasers, it does make a great trade to go the other way. And here you saw that strong move from 43 to 70. I mean, this one was huge, both percent wise and dollar wise. So it was due for this nice little red day. After that, it looked like cyber wanted to kind of grind its way back up and start to maybe re-challenge some of those highs, but only after 3 or 4 days you got a nice sell-off coming into Friday. The important thing about this particular sell-off is it came right into those previous 2 days of support that you had on the 23rd and the 24th, right here roughly at this 57.62 area. It got down in there Friday, and you can see how sharply that thing corrected. A nice little dollar bounce. And for those that are looking to do the contrarian trading where you're shorting into strength and buying into the weaknesses, these are where these trades work best, is when they run into some multi-levels and you come down in here after a nice long grind down and a couple of flushes, you go right into daily chart support. Makes for a good turnaround trade. The reason I have this one up here is this is a very important level. You can see that it fought it off on Friday, but maybe that's not going to be the case going into Monday. I think if you start to see cyber lose that number, you're at a very critical level here. It starts to close down underneath that 57.30 or weak bounces from that point. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing test in towards the 51s, 52s, where the original gap up price was. It's a pretty good level here of support. So if this is to go, I think this is a short trade, maybe just not for Monday, but it could last all week and just make a nice little methodical stair step all the way down in here to the 51. So keep this cyber up on the list. Last, we'll throw up ARUN here. Looks almost identical to what you've seen here with AMWD, except for you got a little bit more parabolic. And of course, when you're talking about things like Gene and eyes, those are super paras, low float paras, float rotation plays. Some of these other ones make great paras just based on the way that their chart looks. Another earnings player that got a really good boost, so it's understandable you get a really strong catalyst out of that. But you might be in the same situation that you are with AMWD, where, okay, now after a couple of days have gone by, then you're not already long. If you don't have a position long, then you want to kind of look at maybe taking advantage of a profit-taking day or a red day so you can bank a little bit to the short. This one's got a nice little RSI, strong from 18 to 24. The same thing runs through, at least from my side, what I like to look for with every stock that I brought up is if you're fortunate enough to get a gap up to start out Monday morning, that would put you at tier 1 status for me. You want to be able to get inside of that play, and the risk to reward going short there would really be good. Now, that's not always going to be the case. Maybe one out of the whole entire 4 or 5 do that. Maybe none of them do it. They all just start to gap down. Then you kind of have to change your strategy a little bit. So I just kind of want to keep it. This one had a nice little late day run. It's already pulled off a little bit. So the last thing that you would want to do, same theme through this whole way, is you don't want to short these things down into the hole, because when you do that, you chase into that, you're really putting yourself being vulnerable to that stock being snapped back or squeezing you out, hence you having to buy back the stock, and creates these excessive runs. And that goes the same way if you're trying to long. Your execution price and where you pick to do business on a chart is very, very important, because the better that your entry, the least likely you're going to be stopped out. And I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about. You get crappy entry on a trade, or you chase a trade, then it goes against you, and all those little self-doubt starts creeping up in your mind. You stop out on the trade. Then the next thing you know, maybe half an hour later, if you would have been able to hold, then the stock worked out for you in your favor. So it's really, really important that the better execution price that you get with your trades, the more likely you are to stay in them, and the more likely you'll be to profit. So if you're looking for help with that, you got the right kind of ideas, but you can't execute those ideas. You got the right kind of game plan, but you can't seem to put it together every day. You can't seem to be able to think on the fly when you've got a basket of stocks that you're watching, and none of them turn out to set up the way that you want, and you have to go look somewhere else. If you're struggling with those facets of your trading game, visit the linkonlist.com. Take the 14-day free trial. Other than that, as always, thanks for watching this video. Hope some of these stocks put a little bit of money in your pocket. Take care of yourself and have a great week of trading.